as you can see, Philipp, who's one of the German Yu-Gi-Oh! Casters, actually. He is playing one of the decks that Basti absolutely adores. It's one of his most played strategies. It's Sulfur Cord.
Indeed, that deck was lacking some ceiling for quite a while, but now with the support cards from Doom of Dimensions, it actually goes so much smoother. It is a pendulum strategy, of course. All of those cards are always pendulum monsters, and you are trying to pendulum summon nowadays even multiple times per turn, because with the new spell card, with Sulfur Cord Happiness, you can gain an additional pendulum summon for that turn.
And the coolest thing about that deck is that the engine is incredibly small, right? You can play it together with K9 cards, and you have so many hand trap that even if you can't go first and you can make a full field to stop your opponent from playing.
And I mean, imagine pendulum summoning all those K9 cards from your hand. How much advantage can you generate, right?
I mean, it already feels like you're always pendulum summoning when you activate Jockle.
That's actually true, but we see there was Mitsurugi prayers, because first of all, let's pay attention to what Michael is doing here, because Michael actually is playing Mitsurugi Rising. Oh, Ash Blossom on the Saji can sometimes completely stop Mitsurugi combos. Yeah. And is that going to be the case here? Set 1, set 2, Ash Blossom on the Saji stopped the turn of the Mitsurugi Ryzeal deck. It lost consistency with less access to cards like Extra Ryzeal, and there were no Ryzeals in sight.
Honestly, when your opponent starts with prayers at Habakiri and then reveal Habakiri, you Ash the Saji. There is no way there is more coming. And now a Foolers is being activated with 2 set cards. I think not.
Yeah, true. That's also what Philipp is saying. I think that does not work. And in fact, it does not. And therefore, the effect of the newest of the K9 family of K904 Noroi resolves. And I mean, Michael was just trying to do that with an Ice Ryzeal maybe, but this is Ice Ryzeal with level 5 seal, ladies and gentlemen.
Yeah. And I really love the fact that we see a battle between a deck that was hit during the Forbidden Unlimited list and tries to find its step into the new format and new meta, while against K9 Sulfur Cord, that is a new deck.
Oh my!
Deep Barrier on the main deck.
Dimensional Barrier in the main deck, yes, ladies and gentlemen. The thing is, you call, of course, X, Y, Z here, and that is obvious when you go up against the K9 cards. But hold on, when we get to the pendulum stuff, when there are Sulfur Card cards, I think that will be an unpleasant surprise for Michael, because those will now just go uninterrupted.
And to be fair, yes, you locked your opponent from XC summoning, but K9 has so much attack, right? And I think that he can actually just attack for game, to be honest.
Possibly, and there also is now an artifact Mjolnir, which is one of the key pieces of the first turn combo. Only 1,300 attack points.
Why is it always the artifacts causing trouble here? We have no longer Artifact Scythe in the TCG, but Artifact Mjolnir, if you're destroying it during your opponent's turn, can special summon it to the opposing side. They can summon an artifact from the graveyard, but then they can't special summon anymore.
They can special summon artifacts, but that won't help necessarily. We now go for Jockle. We can still search for cards, and yeah, I feel like you're right. Those K9 monsters, they are level 5s for a reason, because they are quite healthy in terms of attack points. Izuna is there with 2,100, then there is Noroi also 2,200. It adds up quickly.
This is almost game.
Yeah.
Yeah, to be fair, this is one of the strong issues about K9. It's not only they generate so much advantage, and obviously the Xyz monsters are very strong, but also they have so much attack.
Is it game? Lupus is 2,300 too. It's really close, I feel like.
I don't think it's quite enough. It's 2,300, 2,200, which is 4-5. Then we have 2,000, which is 6-5, and then we have 1-3 from the Mjolnir. Do we have something to burn with? Volcasaur?
I don't think so.
We don't have Xyz.
Let's see, Leo, can we give you the math degree? Is the math degree going to be applied? Because that would leave Michael with 200 life points.
And this is very important against the Mitsurugi, because now they cannot activate the second effect of prayers, which is very important.
You're absolutely right here. Also, keep in mind Habakiri has already been used, so there is no danger there.
Leo, I will award you the mathematics degree at that very moment. Congratulations, and we're passing like this, though. Okay, that does not look too promising. No pendulum summoning, no pendulum effects, and now the top deck for Michael.
To be fair, Lubis can still activate the effect to exist summon, so we still have Reaper for opponent's turn.
But we're scooping it up! Game 1 goes to K9 Sulfur Cord. Really unfortunate opener there for the Mitsurugi Ryzeal strategy. And I think there's two approaches right now to the Mitsurugi Ryzeal deck. One is just to play a pure Mitsurugi deck, adding a couple of Ryze cards. I was also toying around with that. It's decent. You can just always still go into the Ryze Duo Drive, get out those very limited Ryze cards, and then can still go into Detonator. Or you still go very heavy on the Ryze package. You can play 7th Tachyon to have consistent access to it.
Okay.
You can play the bigger package as well with the Ryze node and so on and so forth. And actually, even though we saw 0 Ryze cards there, this is more so the approach that Michael chose.
It feels like this deck is the one that bricks the most. If you or sometimes loses to just one interruption, because the Mitsurugi cards, if you play multiple of them, they're just so incredibly consistent. Sometimes if you're playing a deck like this, you are only drawing one, and then maybe you have a Star Ryze Yield, you have a Cross in your hand. There are so many cards that can just not let you play at all, especially if you're playing cards like Dimensional Barrier in the main deck.
That's true. I'm wondering what the last set card was there for Michael, because that Dimensional Barrier you can activate rather quickly, so you can get it out of the way in terms of cards on the field. With the Mulcharmy Fuvolos still in the hand, maybe we didn't consider that entirely, maybe because you can just go draw phase, activate the Dimensional Barrier. That's a little bit of a risk because you don't really know yet what to call with it, of course. And then activate the activate the Fuvolos afterwards. But the value of the Fuvolos in that game state feels like it is really,
you're
really
also
high.
not drawing cards if you're denying the Exceeds monsters.
Fair, yeah, well...
You can't summon from the extra deck. Fuvolos.
I mean, you have to take the risk to do Bass's plays, to be fair, because you need to draw cards because you had rigged, right? Or at least single as negate your advancing game state. But I believe that Dimension Barrier in the main deck was quite quite interesting, to be fair, meaning that it is very good at the current meta state. However, how you deal against, for example, decks that play K9 and some other engine. For example, now we didn't see any Sulfur Core card, right?
No.
So
that's good for him.
That's very good for Philipp.
Michael doesn't know right now what he's up against. He's thinking maybe some heavy K9 build, for example, Vanquish All or Christian, for example.
And I think you keep Dimensional Barrier in against the heavy K9 deck, right?
For sure.
The cards play around it quite a bit. They all add other cards. You can still put up a rather big field and keep Lupus on the field. Yeah. But still, I think it has quite some merits in that matchup.
I mean, I'm waiting for the facial expression about debarrier for Xyz and then just putting 2 pendulum scales for the field.
Yes. But good for him that he didn't have to reveal that. Honestly, for Game 3, that might be a massive upside that he then just can play freely with his Sulfur Cord combo, which he then will be able to reveal to his opponent. And also, you guys are talking about the Dimensional Barrier clearly as he activated it there, but that, for the people at home wondering, is not just a card he threw into his deck for no reason. That obviously is an indicator for him to also be on Triple Tactic Thrust, to have a very valid option also when you go first, to already have access to that going first.
Barrier is very good against basically any deck in the format right now. You can call Ritual, you can of course call Pendulums. Exceeds is, I think, the most prominent thing.
Probably.
And also Synchros for Yamis is really, really tough for the deck.
Yeah, I mean, Yami can play around it a little bit, setting up just a Snatch and another Yami monster and passing turn. But yes, obviously it's a very good and strong card to go against. And I'm very wondering right now, how would you approach this K9 build, meaning that you don't haven't seen the sub-engine, to be honest?
I don't know, but the players are going to show us quite soon because the duelists are ready. Let's go over to the table. Basti, you are our designated Sulfur Cord expert. How would you approach going second with the deck?
I would just try to draw my K9 cards. Specifically K9 Izuna, I would imagine, would be a good one, because against, of course, Mitsurugi decks, when they always have to activate the Habakiri, there you go, first action, you made Izuna alive. So if there is Izuna for Philipp, that's a good start immediately. And besides that, of course, the classics, you just gotta put in the Mulcharmy Fuvolos, no biggie. I think Bestials also became more and more popular again, and Bestials, of course, against a well-timed Prayer's Tribute, for example, the Murakumo, can be quite heavy, so maybe we're going to see some of those Bestials from Philipp's side.
The question I'm asking myself is, how good is the Izuna really against this start from Mitsurugi? Because now you might as well play the Izuna when Habakiri or Murakumo is already on the field, so you have to discard another card.
Yeah.
You can't summon it before, because then it just gets destroyed.
Night Sword Serpent in the hand, though, for Michael, so that's one card less to worry about.
So a very good interaction with Izuna is to summon Valon for Duo Drive, obviously, since it's a Mitsurugi Ryze deck. But if we just stick to the Mitsurugi, yes, Izuna needs to be activated in the right moment in order to summon Reaper and play around a card, for example, Ameno Murakumo to be summoned from the graveyard, for example.
And also Izuna crazy plays into Triple Tactics Thrust. This card is not only live then and sets your Dimensional Barrier. No, if you want, you can even search for a Triple Tactic Talons added to hand and then peep at Philipp's hand to just take away the most important combo piece, Slash Interruption.
I mean, I think that K9 has a very good matchup against Mitsurugi, and this is...
Oh, Philipp is picking up the cards. Bestial.
That would have been a good moment for a Bestial, really. That would have been nice, but no, ain't happening. We are going to use the Mitsurugi prayers, paying life points, signalizing, yes, I will be special summoning as well. Even before searching, he already clarifies that. And now we are going to search for possibly the Futsu. Of course, ups the ceiling of any kind of Mitsurugi deck even more.
My friend, you're not paying life points for prayers, you're taking damage,
well,
which is actually relevant when you get Dark Roulette no more.
It is. You are very, very right. Completely true. And we now also search for another powerful trap card. No Dimensional Barrier inside just yet, but there is the Mitsurugi Great Purification, which is that also powerful Omni Negate. Oh, and look at that. You cannot take the one way over the bridge anymore. You cannot go from the Raizir cards into the Mitsurugi cards anymore. But you can go from Mitsurugi into Raizir, as this is your way to search out 7th Tachyon with the Dragluxion.
I thought this was an ignition effect and not a summon effect, then Valon would have gone crazy.
But now here, look at that. There is another card coming. We transform this Transluxion, using it as Exceed material into our old good friend Hope Harbinger.
I mean, I really love this technology. This is a very good approach in order to deal with the forbidden of the imp, obviously, and trying to find new ways to bridge those two synergies.
Okay, here comes Duo Drive.
And I mean, it's the moment that we're waiting for. Potentially Izuna, yes, will be activated in order to send Lupus into the graveyard and probably go for Valon.
But I mean, there's the 7th Tachyon in hand already, right? How much does that help you to just negate that all? We Ash Blossom as well here to stop the Izuna from sending Lupus, so it's just a monster on the field.
But honestly, Leo, I was wondering the same, because I was experimenting with that too, and I was also thinking, how much value is that Duo Drive even generating when we already have access to 7th Tachyon? Because clearly we already can get any kind of Raizir card, but now of course we get possibly 3 in total.
It protects you from Raizil Cross, to be honest, if you don't play Star Raizil, for example, in this deck. But I think, as you mentioned, Basti, it is a very heavy Raizil approach, so I believe that also Star Raizil is there.
Let me check, and there is definitely, as we can see, of course, Raizir Cross in there. I struggle to find Star Raizil actually, though. There's no Star Raizil in there. That's the one we left out, apparently. Now the 7th Tachyon comes in. Okay, so we kind of isolate our 7th Tachyon here, right? Because we got the Raizir Cross first, and now we do grab that Ice Raizil, put back something afterwards.
That is a huge combo here, so the ceiling of the deck has been hired by the player, not necessarily by Doom of Dimensions. Not too much came out of there. And now Ice Raizil is being normal summoned. A familiar face here.
Yeah. And I mean, 7th Tachyon, of course, a card that was always popular in Raizir decks. I think that card also for the Genesis enjoyers at home, actually 0 points, will be very, very popular in that new format as well, as it is just a good consistency cards for all kind of different decks, really. But also, of course, for the Raizir deck right here, right now.
What are we going into? Could it be a Raizir Detonator? No, we're going for Gallant Granite. Of course, we have the Node Raizir in hand, so we can add Nibiru, the Primal Being, and then we can, of course, always summon Node, tribute Gallant Granite, get a monster back, and then go for a big Detonator. Might as well perhaps summon the X next to it to just make an even bigger Detonator here if X doesn't provide big follow-up. Yup, we're going to summon it out. Do we have the Eclipse Twins in the extra deck? We definitely do. That's massive.
I mean, this field looks very, very scary, to be honest. You have literally everything. You have a spell negation, you can manipulate the battle phase, you have a Raizil Cross, you have purification from Mitsurugis, and additionally you have obviously Thrust for talents.
Oh, you don't even go for talents, okay.
Do we have access to our Mitsurugi cards? I mean,
I think we have prayers.
We searched for prayers, yeah.
But we have Dimensional Barrier and Purification set. Where's prayers?
You're right.
I don't even...
Wait, no, we used the prayers. Yeah, true, you're right. We used the prayers.
But that doesn't matter because Michael is just going ahead, taking that game. I mean, even if you don't have the Mitsurugi cards anymore, that was definitely more than enough. But I'm still very curious on how that one played out.
Yeah, I mean, the Great Purification is not as great anymore when you can't activate it, right? Or was the Night Sword Serpent still
you
there?
can destroy it with Detonator, go to grave, and then manage
summon
to
something out from the graveyard. I mean, yes, but is it that great?
But
because
then you
lose
prayers
out on,
instead.
Yeah, and then you just lose out basically on the negation effect of it as well. So I'm not too sure.
I mean,
it was enough in the end, right?
Yeah.
So it's not like it didn't work out, but that is at least questionable. But what I really liked about the variant, also summoning out the Hope Harbinger.
I like the face upside out, by the way.
the Hope Harbinger is really good because one card that the Rising strategies really struggle against is Book of Eclipse. And Book of Eclipse lately has been becoming more popular, and just having the chance to completely turn all of those interruptions, including the Rising Cross, off because you've turned those Exceed monsters face down, is actually a huge problem, which can get countered now with that Hope Harbinger, which is really, really nice because that one card just completely nuking your entire field is rough.
I mean, I really love the approach because I was very curious by myself how Mitsurugi Rising can adapt to the current meta state and to the new Forbidden Unlimited list. And this is definitely a new technology that I would love to try to see if that it can still compete. Obviously, it is around 11 YCS, right?
I mean, we've just seen the field and we've seen Ryziel, Mitsurugi fields in the past. The deck might be a little less consistent, but still the fields are so crazy. Ryziel Cross is one of the best negations we've ever had. It draws you an extra cards. The Mitsurugi cards, if you have access to them, they are incredibly resilient. Steal cards from your opponent's hand or negate cards as well. And Detonator is just Detonator.
It is just Detonator indeed, but giving some more background actually on Philipp. You already mentioned he's also part of our German commentary crew, and funnily enough, you probably have seen it throughout the entirety of yesterday's stream or already today. We have those break segments here for the stream as well, and we did record a break segment with Philipp here for this very tournament, and he gave us some insight on Sulfur Court cards, which he's now successfully piloting in the tournament. In the beginning, though, it did not look like it would be very successful because with his current score of A2, he got to that A2 score with starting 1-2, so he just won 7 rounds in a row.
Also, is he really playing Sulfur Court or is he just telling us that he is? Because I haven't seen any Sulfur Court cards so far. He has successfully hid it from his opponent.
And I mean, right now this will play for me a very huge role because now he's going first probably, and he can have access to his Sulfur Court and activate it while his opponent Mikhail has no idea about them. And I think that he will be taken by surprise for sure.
Hopefully we all are. We all will learn a little more about Sulfur Court because the original release of them in back in the day, the Angu set, is quite a while ago, but those new cards really bring some new life to the Sulfur Court strategy. And I want to see that new fire. I want to see those new moves, and the players are ready. So let's get into this desired game 3.
Sulfur Court. No, wait. Doom of Dimensions brought some Sulfur Court happiness to Basti's face when it came out, just because this card is incredibly strong. It's a spell card with 3 effects, and you can use each of them. Once per turn, always.
Again. But we start things off here, of course, by using the effect of Jokel, and it is a level 5 monster at the end of the day. So far, still no Sulfur Courts, but Jokel effect instead. Does that get any response? No, it will resolve first of all, so we can get our Noroi out here.
Was that an Ultimate Slayer in the hand of Michael?
Possibly, yeah.
In an Exceeds-based deck where you basically only play Exceeds monsters in the extra deck?
Well, I think he's actually siding some targets for that from his side deck too, yeah.
And to be honest, I think how Mitsurugi Rising is adapting to the current meta state, it's probably better to go for field breakers, like no more droplets and Ultimate Slayer potentially. But right now, I really want to see his facial expression when Sulfur Court's card will hit the field.
I want to see Sulfur Court cards hit the field at all at this
First of all, Ripper though. Will Ripper force any kind of response here from Michael. No, he still lets it go through. Maybe he doesn't have an answer. And now we are also protected from Nibiru, the primal being, of course, which is massive. But I think I see Sulfur Court cards in hand. It is the most powerful one of them, the new support card. And we do want to use that first effect for sure. But when is it time to reveal? Come on, Philipp.
Happiness.
Make us happy.
Happiness.
It is Sulfur Court Happiness. And I'm pretty sure we're going to use the first effect. And Michael kind of smiling because he will have to read that card. And I'm sure we will use that first effect. Discarding one card to search for 2 Sulfur Court Pendulum monsters with different scales. There we go. We discard another copy of the Happiness, actually. And the cool thing is you do not only search for those, but then you can also special summon out 1 Pendulum monster from your hand, up to the amount of monsters your opponent controls plus 1. So you will always be able to special summon out 1 monster even on your first turn.
And I also love the fact that the discard is not a cost, which plays a very huge role for a potential Ash, for example. Right now, I was really waiting for Michael's expression, and he gave me exactly what I wanted to be. This surprise, this is the smile when he was reading Sulfur Court Happiness was amazing.
Oh, I'm incredibly curious. Okay, we can special summon this monster immediately. Oh, I thought this one placed to the scale. No, it's special summons. That is much better, because I thought, what are you going to do with both of those scales? Because I think all the Sulfur Court monsters say that your opponent cannot respond to your pendulum summons with spell or trap card effects, so they are not really extending your plays, but you have to get them to the field. Sulfur Court Happiness is crazy, dude.
Sulfur Court Happiness is absolutely insane, and here also comes where the synergy between the K9 and the Sulfur Court cards, because we decided to summon out the Soul Sulfur Court Gracia, which is a level 5 in fact, and therefore obviously works together with the K9 cards so well. And on summon we do search out Sulfur Court Elegance, and Elegance, as you can see here, is activating 2 scales from the deck. And that is, of course, on the left hand, we have Sulfur Court Primoa, and then on the right, we also got the Sulfur Court. Oh no, that's also Sulfur Court Solfigia. Oh, Solfigia, man, those are difficult to pronounce, but Solfigia actually is really funny. It's like the only odd scale that you're still running in this, because Sulfur Court actually is about even and odd scales. Sometimes that matters. It matters, for example, for the Link monster that you're sometimes going to end on the Grand Sulfur Court Cooliar, but that's Dactyr first. And Solfigia actually works as a monster negate on your opponent's turn when you have it still in your pendulum zone.
True, not all of them say that your opponent can't respond to your pendulum summons with spell and traps. That's already pretty strong. Now we have Dactyr Link 2. We can pendulum summon out 2 monsters. Haven't seen that in a while. I'm happy today.
Get the bingo sheets out. It is the pendulum summon of the day. And here the interesting thing happens. Because we have pendulum summoned out the Sulfur Court Cutia, the Sulfur Court Cutia, we can take one of our scales back to the hand, and that sometimes can be really important, as we just want to modify odd and even scales sometimes even more, so we made sure that that Primoa goes back into the hand.
Philipp is just plussing here with all of those Sulfur Court cards. I am just still quite curious where this field is going to go, because I haven't seen those big combos quite yet from the deck. We have Mjolnir on the field already. I wonder if drawing that one stops you a little bit from playing your deck, or if you really wanted in the deck to set it with Dagda.
I think it's fine, because you just eventually want to go for the Imperial Princess Quinquery.
Oh yeah, Quincery.
Quincery, exactly. And that one works as long as somehow there is the artifact somewhere around. So I think we are okay as long as we do have access to it. And drawing it, of course, means access to it in the end.
And the fact that it is level 5, it's very convenient for Jokul, for example.
Yes.
As we have seen plenty of times, unfortunately for Philipp, during this match. However, as we can see, he's just keep going off, keep comboing, and I think right now he's still back to K9, and I believe Konkuri will be summoned into the field, as you mentioned, Basti.
That probably is going to be the plan eventually. Quincery, is it already time, or do we just have more level 5
I think
monsters?
it's Quinquery, actually, now that I read it. I don't know where I got the Quincery from.
Okay.
Maybe it's the German one?
Maybe it is. But is it immediately going to be that one, or do we just go for maybe a possible Link summon first? We also have, for example, IP Masquerena as a somewhat generic Link 2 to go into, and that very much does look like a Link 2. He cannot really decide. It is in the end an Exceed summon, though.
All right, Flipsy, you gotta get it going here. You have to make a decision here, and I think the judges are alerting him. Hey, you are indecisive right now. You need to make a decision at some point. Goes for a rank 5 here. And that is going to be the Quinquerry, as you said before.
And Quinquerry, of course, for the people not knowing, would then be able to just detach the material to target level 5 monster in either player's graveyard and special summon it to either player's field. And that is the important part, as you do want to give that artifact Mjolnir not to yourself, but to your opponent. And there we have it, Artifact Mjolnir sitting pretty on Michael's side, but now also with its continuous effect, not allowing him to summon any monsters except artifact monsters.
What a beautiful gift to give you to your opponent, right?
I'm sure Michael is thrilled to have it right now, because this card triggered when it's summoned to your field on the opposing turn, which quite technically for Michael is the case right here.
Yeah, and this is a really, really good setup, because we have 2 Sulfur-Cord Sulfigias in the spell and trap zones, and that's very important, because first of all, we can use its scale effect, saying when your opponent activates a monster effect, you can then destroy the Sulfur-Cord Sulfigia to destroy it, to negate the effect. But we then are still left with another odd scale, because it is a 9 scale, so we can use the effect of Grand Sulfur-Cord Coolia still. So that is actually really, really important and really, really good.
Now, Michael will have to make a decision here. How do I approach breaking this field without being able to special summon cards?
Oh, attack position from Mjolnir. We could just try to crash it, maybe.
I mean, maybe we're also trying to run over the IP Masquerena.
That's what we do, okay.
Because crashing doesn't help you. It's not a continuous effect, it's a lingering effect until the end of next turn.
Oh, you're
Which makes this card even crazier here.
True. So IP Masquerena was dealt with. We're looking for extra deck. Will we find an artifact extra deck monster? I am afraid we won't. What's next in the main phase 2 now? We do have an Ultimate Slayer, and we are using it on... Are we really using it on the Quinquerry? That doesn't feel like it's helping too much, I'm sure.
You have to remove this card 100%, because otherwise you're just going to get the Mjolnir back.
Yeah, fair. But it goes back into the extra deck, so we can just summon it out again, maybe?
That's a very fair point as well. Quinquerry goes away, Noroa goes into the graveyard, and then Valen is going to be able to destroy the set card here. Oh my days.
It is the forced release. That's why it is weird, because now obviously we can just use the forced release because the Ripper is still on the field.
Yeah, that's true.
So we are just going to get rid of that Mjolnir. Field free for Michael, but he can only set a card, and I don't think he's particularly happy about his situation right now, as he is heading into the end phase, and Philipp, with a smile on his face, with his big combo there, with his Sulfur-Cord cards, probably going to be able to take this one down here.
Smile on his face and a hammer in his heart with the Mjolnir in the graveyard, taking away the ability to special summon from Michael. A genius play.
And I mean, we really got to experiences how this Sulfur-Cord I can't speak. Sulfur-Cord cards have been adjusted to the current meta state, and with the newest support, how they managed to go through with K9 cards and showcase us a very, very strong combo, and that they can establish a very strong field.
Yep, Sulfur-Cord Primoa now, the normal summon of choice, another 3-off in the deck, and that grabs us another copy of the also powerful Sulfur-Cord Happiness. And we already have plenty of attack points on the field, not with the Primoa as it is 0 attack points. Yep. Still though, we are amassing massive amount of damage. Ooh, that's not just game yet though. Oh, wait, the Werewolf can attack twice, so it is game! And Philipp takes the game with Sulfur-Cord K9 here, looks into the crowd, gives them the nod of happiness, the nod of approval. X2 deep into the YCS tournament here already.
Flexing the Ghost Spell and the Ash Blossom in hand as well, saying, yup, that's me. I had everything that I could have asked for. Even if you had some crazy cards to stop me from playing Ash and Bell. Nah, you're not getting through that.
And I really love the fact that he acknowledged that Thrust is a potential danger for him, so he didn't activate the Epi Masquerena in order to link summon, just let Mikael to go into battle phase and go through the AP. He didn't care because he knew that Thrust may be a potential danger for him.
Totally didn't even matter at all. Then we used, of course, the forced release to also destroy the Mjolnir. Didn't need to, but it just made the field nice and empty to then next turn put out that required 8,000 points of damage.
Also didn't use Werewolf to look in the hand because he knows maybe there is something that my opponent can activate then. So yep, perfectly played by Philipp. Turns out if you're taking your opponent's ability of special summoning away for a turn, that might be good.
Might be pretty good indeed, but yeah, this deck is scary. I think everyone that may have now seen that featured match that maybe gets a message from home saying, yo, there is someone playing Sulfur Core at the top tables. I think everyone at the moment also being X2 will be afraid, because that's really not a deck you want to go up against, because nobody's prepared for it.
Yeah.
You did not sit at home, build your side deck, be like, oh, what do I have for Sulfur Core? That's never something that would even come to your mind.
I think that actually Michael was probably the player with the main deck Dimensional Barrier who was most prepared for a Pendulum deck here in this very tournament.
That's true, yeah. But looks like something that may be able to make it. This was round number 11, so we still have 4 more to go. And if Philipp continues to win, he will be in the top 8 eventually, because X2 is a guaranteed from, like, I say guaranteed, but doing the math, it should be guaranteed to make it into top 8 when you finish with only 2 losses in the tournament. It's even funnier, though, that those 2 losses came in the first 3 rounds of the tournament, though.
And I mean, it is something that we have seen before. For example, Dinkabui with his Fire King strategy, that you need to always be prepared for everything and to not underestimate any deck, because as we can see right now, Solfaccord with K9 strategy managed to establish a very strong field. And also, I really love the fact that K9 gives the opportunity for the deck to go second, play with Izuna, have your Xyz monster, for example, Reaper, Valon, or Nash Knight, for example, potentially. And obviously, Solfaccord going first is a very scary deck.
That's the coolest thing about the K9 cards, right? Because in the beginning, everyone was just like, oh, K9 Vanquish Soul, the deck is crazy. And then with the Forbidden Unlimited list, everyone was like, oh, K9 Vanquish Soul might not be as crazy anymore. But there are other decks that utilize level 5 monsters in their deck that you can bridge into, that you can support your deck with. Sometimes a Jockle, summon out your other level 5 monster, just gives you setup for everything.
Yeah, but there also still is K9 Vanquish Soul doing well. I saw the top tables. There is, I think, even at least one X1 and maybe even some more X2 still in the running with that variant of the deck. I think K9 Crystron also, even though it lost 2 inclusions, is also out there doing decently strong. So that is something we have still left in the tournament, possibly left to show for the featured match too.
And that deck lost the Paradise Smasher, which was a very crucial part of the combo, actually.
Speaking of K9 strategies, we have to shout out to Zan Alexis for K9 Cyber Dragon, obviously. We have to do with that. Our co-caster, obviously. And your analyst, if I am not mistaken, for this round, to be fair.
Yeah, absolutely. And he will be able to have a chat with Philipp there.
And we really need to hear from them and how their Solfaccord strategy managed to go all this way for the YCS and be so close for the top cut.
Definitely. Flippy has always been a crazy deck builder. He has brought so many rogue decks to big tournaments and always performed quite well with it, but also a force with meta decks. I think his first YCS top was YCS Dortmund in tier format, actually tier laments, a crazy skillful format, and he was not shying away from it, saying, hey, I can play meta decks and I can beat some of the best duelists in the world with my deck.
That is indeed the case, and this time around he again took the challenge to take something unconventional. He took those Sulfur Core cards that a lot of people did not pay too much attention to, but he paid attention to it, and he is piloting them to great success so far, and therefore is not only the winner of this round's featured match, but also overall still very, very much alive in this major competition here at YCS Lille. He is up in the running for maybe one of those desired top 8 spots. So why don't we hear it from the man himself? Why don't we hear it from Philipp? Because Philipp is now ready in the winner interview, in the analysis for this cool match that we just saw. So let's give it over to John Alexi and Philipp.
Yeah, I am indeed with the winner of this round, Philipp himself, with the Solfaccord strategy. What a game it was, and I must admit I was very surprised by the choice of this deck. But Philipp, first of all, congratulations for your victory.
Thank you.
It was a very convincing one. But tell us, I mean, Solfaccord, where did it come from?
So first of all, you're not the first person that asked me how the Solfa cards, what they do. But in fact, the decision why I chose the deck is very simple. I'm a very big fan of the new K9 card, K9 Noroi. The card is very, very strong. And I was thinking like, K9 Crystron, they lost their 2 inclusions. So if Noroi gets hand trapped by an Imperm, you can't really extend. Solfaccord, on the other hand, they have 3 Solfaccord happiness and 1 for 1. Therefore, easier to extend for hand traps.
Absolutely, and it worked pretty well for you.
Yeah.
So for those who are not familiar with the deck, could you just tell us what is the goal of your deck?
Yeah, I really don't want to say the goal of the deck is to Mjolnir lock, because that's not always what's happening. You sometimes get hand trapped and can't get to it. But on the other hand, it's just like, it's a big combo deck. It can end on multiple negates, the K9 stuff of Ripper with the spell, that the Liberation, I think it's called, or the X-Force release, the one that pops a card. So just a very layered end board you can do and still play a lot of non-engine.
So that's pretty cool. I saw your deck list, and especially the fact that, yeah, you are playing some very, very specific card, and I saw that you are playing even you can play the Herald or stuff like that.
Yeah.
Do you yourself play the Herald?
I don't play the Herald. My extra deck space is very, very tight, I gotta say. I always have like 1 or 2 cards which I missed throughout the tournament, but summoned all of my extra deck cards, so not regretting the decision to cut 1 or 2 cards.
I mean, it worked pretty well for you, because you are now at an X2 record, which is pretty good, especially considering the fact that you are using a very unuseful strategy. And yeah, you are now 3 or 4 games away from going into Top Cut. If you go to Top Cut with Solfaccord, it will be, I mean, it will be a blast for sure.
Well, I'm not thinking that far. I'm not thinking that far yet. I lost very early, so just thinking from match to match, honestly.
Yeah, of course, and you're right. We are going to just show a little bit of
course,
clips.
Of course.
But the first one, I mean, it is the first game, and we saw that you were playing against the Ryzeal Mitsurugi strategy.
Yes.
At that point, you don't know that you are playing against Ryzeal,
yes.
but you see the Sagi, and you decide to Ash Blossom,
yeah.
and all of a sudden, I mean, there's nothing left, and your opponent just passed turn. At that point, did you feel confident?
Yeah, I felt very confident at that point, because like I asked him how many cards he plays. He said like 44, and therefore I thought like, okay, it's probably not pure. It's maybe like the Ryzeal strategy, and the Ryzeal strategy is play some bricks in the deck. So I was thinking like, you also saw the D barrier against me, which didn't do that much, so it was quite fine. And so I was thinking just serving the Sagi, hoping he doesn't have the Ritual in 44, and then just looking how it goes.
And yeah, it looked pretty well. It looked pretty promising, but you didn't have any Solfaccord card in your hand after that.
Yeah.
You only had some K9 cards, and you saw the Dimensional Barrier in the main deck.
Yeah.
Did you expect people to just play this card in the main deck?
I didn't expect it, honestly, because I was thinking like, okay, the card itself, and you saw it, the D-Barrier, it didn't help him really play there, so he got kind of punished for playing it, I want to say. And I was thinking like rather like if something like Imperm or so, which on Noroi hurts, but I had a Joku plus an extender like the Mjolnir in hand, so I had to play anyways. And in this case, I was just happy that I summoned the Lupus off of Noroi, and because like under D-Barrier, I can still like XYZ summon in my opponent's turn, even if I get hit by the D-Barrier.
Yeah, and it's very funny because you took Mjolnir as an extender, and it happened multiple times during this series, so it was pretty fun. And yeah, after that, you just summoned a lot of monsters, attack, and you just took the game after that. So
it was 200 off, unfortunately. 200 off,
but you still took the victory. So it's fine. It's fine. And you took the first game, and then you went second against that deck.
Yeah.
So of course there is a big threat, which is Detonator. And I mean, what's your game plan against this deck going second?
Honestly, the game plan is rather preventing the Detonator than really having to deal with it. Because like the deck has the issue of some other K9 decks that it's like the cards itself, they're not that good into full boards. Therefore, I played a lot of hand traps, especially post-side. Only drew 2 Izuna though, and was hit by the Ash Blossom there.
Yeah, exactly, absolutely. We are going to see that in a second because there is a real key point, and the key point is the Izuna. It's gonna appear in a second, probably.
Yeah, no worries.
But no worries. Anyway, I'm gonna describe the whole thing. But yeah, I tried to activate the Izuna on the Dual Drive effect.
Yeah.
I mean, before the Dual Drive effect, but when it arrived on field. And I think this is very crucial, but you knew that there still was some ways to look for and search other pieces. There was the 7 stack in hand. So was it going to stop him or not?
I don't think it was really going to stop him, but I felt like at that point I have the best chance to maybe go into breaking the board, because what you'll see there is like, when there's a dual drive, there is not a Murakuma on the field, so I'm not losing a card from my hand. I wasn't sure how long that's going to stay the case, and I was trying to prevent him of getting to the Rysil cross, which he actually already had in hand, so that was kind of unfortunate for me. But I was just hoping there, okay, maybe I can suck up the dual drive, and if he like gets to detonator still, it will be tough, but I have a better chance than with cross and detonator.
Yeah, and I mean, it was a bit of a rough time for you in this one, because we are going to see that in the third video, where basically there is still something more. In a second.
Yeah, no worries, no worries. Yeah, the game,
sometimes
it was very, very tough. Like, when you went for the detonator here, I was thinking like, okay, 4 materials, Eclipse Twins, also then the Thrust. I was more scared of him adding the talents, honestly, because I had a lot of Sofa card cards in my hand, and he didn't know that before. And if you're playing versus pure K9, you don't want to side on a card like Drone Lockbird, as an example. But if you see like Sofa card cards, you probably want to side them. And so I was thinking like, okay, if he added talents, I would have scooped anyways.
Yeah, and he decided to just use this Thrust, adding another card.
Yeah.
So, I mean, the field was very oppressive, to be honest.
Pretty unbreakable for me,
yeah, the detonator is very, very strong in itself against you.
Yeah.
So, you decided to just scoop the game from that point and just proceed to Game 3. And Game 3, we saw what your deck is able to do. We are going to witness that, but you managed to show the Sulfur card for once, and we saw the happiness being activated, and your opponent was like, he was laughing because he didn't expect that at all. Did you have this type of reaction?
It's more of like, oh shit, there's more than just K9 cards, and yeah, I gotta say, Pen best deck. So yeah, the cards, they're doing a lot of work for me this weekend.
Pen best deck, and it worked for you. We are going to see the Mjolnir being summoned, because this is one of the biggest win conditions of your deck. For those who don't know, when the Mjolnir is special summoned on your opponent's turn, which is basically the case because you special summon it on your opponent's field during your own turn, then you are locked into only special summoning some artifact monsters, and therefore, I mean, that's the case. He doesn't have any artifact monsters in his deck.
Exactly.
And that's pretty hard, because you ended up on a pretty strong field, even without Mjolnir. I mean, it's pretty strong.
Yeah, exactly. The problem here is, though, I messed my zones up a bit. You saw me struggling a bit, because the thing with Kulia is, like, the Link monster, it isn't Omni-Negate, but it needs to summon an odd scale into its pendulum zones. And I messed it a bit up because I was thinking, like, yeah, I cannot get the Mjolnir under the Kinkery, so I had to, like, kind of do it that way, and was a bit like, I would have had a problem against a card like Raigeki, which I normally shouldn't have. So this was a small misplay by me, but at least it wasn't punished.
Yeah, it wasn't punished. And from that point, I mean, we saw that your opponent was only playing, you know, some Field Breaker. We saw the Ultimate Slayer. He tried his best, but there's not much that you can do against that. And you took a convincing victory, which means that you are still in. You can still do it to top 8. I mean, I know that you want to take it game by game, but you are probably a lot of support from the people right there. They saw the Sulfur card, and now you are, I mean, you are there to just bring their hope to the top 8.
I'll do my best for them. I'll do my best.
But anyway, thanks a lot for your time. I hope that you at your home were very happy to see some cards like that. It shows us that there is not only the best decks, but also room for creativity. And you just have to bring the deck that you feel confident with, which works for you. Don't go anywhere, because the next round is around the corner.